Okay, can you all hear us? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 9 o'clock on the nose. I don't want it to be 9:01. Oh wait, is the gavel? Yeah. The gavel. Joe is so much better at that than me. Okay, so welcome everyone to the July 2nd Community Partnership Meeting. As we always do, we will start first with introductions, and there's a 40-second time limit. So if you can introduce yourself, organization, role, and then one thing that you're grateful for. And I'll start on Zoom as I always do with Mr. Gorton. So John, you're first up.
Hi, good morning everybody. John Gorton, the Sheldon Food Shelf, coordinator and lay minister for Sheldon Church and Montgomery Methodist Churches. And I am thankful for the Summer Meals Program. We this year became a non-congregate meal distribution site. And last Friday, I gave out 200 boxes, each box with 14 meals, 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches. I gave out 200 boxes in 47 minutes. And even though it's 4th of July, this Friday, I'm expecting more like 225, anywhere between 225 and 250.
Awesome, thank you, John. Next person is Candace.
Hi, my name is Candace Gale. I'm the Director of Community Relations for Vermont Foundation of Recovery. And I am grateful for this beautiful summer weather that we're having after a very long winter.
Awesome. Thank you, Candace. Thanks for joining us. Sam.
Nice to see you.
Hey everybody, my name is Sam Snyder. I work with the Restorative Justice Center, and it's good to see everybody. I am grateful today, besides my daughter, who I'm always grateful for, that I always talk about her, I would say for my own sobriety and my own recovery today.
Love it. Thank you, Sam. Chrissy?
Hey everyone, I'm sorry, my internet is unstable, so the minute I turn my camera on, it goes bonkers. But my name is Chrissy Gilliam. I'm the Associate Director for Champlain Valley Head Start, and we have a site on Barlow Street where we have 2 toddler rooms and a preschool room, and we are currently in the hiring phase for a supervisor there. So I thought I would jump on in her absence and appreciate being part of this. So I'm grateful to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Chrissy. Mary.
Sure.
Me?
Super Mary. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, super. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Pickner, and I am the Substance Misuse Prevention Consultant for the Vermont Department of Health, Division of Substance Use Programs. Only Amy has a longer title than me. And I am incredibly grateful today for everyone who does this work, right? Giving 200 meals out, expecting to do 200 more, being of service, while in recovery, right? Just giving back. And I too am grateful to be able to have the opportunity a day at a time to give back some of what was given to me. So thank you everyone for being here, because I know I can't do any of this work without all of you.
Thank you, Mary. Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle Perry. I'm the Transitional Housing Coordinator with Voices Against Violence. Something I'm grateful for is that I'm finally feeling healthy again. We had a stomach bug absolutely rip through shelter last week, so I'm glad to finally be 100% again. That's what I'm grateful for.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Marissa.
Well, sorry, there's so many steps when you're off camera. My name is Marissa. I work for the Office of Economic Opportunity with the state and in the new permanent supportive housing assistance program. I'm grateful for the sun.
Awesome. Thank you. And Erin.
Hey folks, Erin Creeley, District Director for the St. Albans Office of Local Health, part of Vermont Department of Health. I use she, her pronouns. Oh man, just in general feeling pretty grateful. I'm really grateful for my sister's sobriety and just who I get to know now that she's on the other side of that, and I'm just really grateful for our sisterhood and our relationship.
Awesome, thank you. Lex.
I thought I had unmuted, but I think I'm good now. Good morning, everyone. Lex Arthurs. I'm the Community Relations Manager for Vermont Foundation of Recovery. We have 9, very, very soon to be 10 recovery homes across the state of Vermont. And I am happy for this weather, as well as my kitty cats that are going absolutely bonkers with the zoomies behind me right now. But it always warms my heart when they're just going nuts. So, thank you.
I feel like your cats got some airtime last month too, and it brought a lot of joy to this group. So thank you for mentioning them. Tracy.
Hello, sorry my camera's off. I'm having some PC issues. I'm Tracy Thompson. I'm the Director of Operations for Sabina for Vermont and New Hampshire. I am very grateful for all of you. I know we say this from time to time, but I've experienced some return to use in my family, and I'm just grateful that there's a group of people out there in this world that care about that and treat them all with kindness. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Charlene.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charlene Cayeno. I'm the Vermont Veterans Mental Health Counselor. But unfortunately, due to lack of government funding, July 25th will be my last day, as well as 17 other family program employees. So, but I am grateful for air conditioning.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to miss you. And just so you know, you're still always welcome to attend here, even as a civilian or in whatever new role you might have. So we're going to miss you, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Okay. And do I have everybody on Zoom? Is there anybody I missed? She's right here.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, I think we got everybody on Zoom. So I'm going to hop in the room now, and I will start with Mariah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah Flynn, she, her pronouns. I work with the Burlington Partnership for Healthy Community. Thank you for letting me hop into your meeting again. I was here last month as well. We're doing a project with the United Way, or for the United Way, to gather some data and information and resources in about Franklin and Grand Isle counties to help support capacity building for substance use prevention. So I'm grateful for how generous everyone's been with their time to meet with us and like making time for our staff to, and just it's been really great to get to know people in the community. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Amy Brewer. I'm the health educator at Northwestern Medical Center, and I coordinate the Franklin Grand Isle Tobacco Prevention Coalition. I am happy to have Mariah here and get to show her around our great community so that she can see all the great things that we do and have here so that we can continue to make it a healthier region. And I am 100% grateful for Melinda this morning because I didn't know what what energy I brought into this room. I didn't think it was anything, but apparently it was. And thank you for picking up on that and sending love. I appreciate it.
Oh, love you, Amy.
Hi everyone, Michelle Bissett. I'm the Advocate Outreach Coordinator at the Abenaki Nation School for Domestic Sexual Violence. That was
Something you're grateful for?
Just being able to spend time with my grandkids. They're just such a joy, and
awesome. Thank you.
I am Kathleen Shadow. I'm the rector at Holy Trinity Episcopal Church in Swanton. Almost a year now I've been there. We're actually in
month 11 at this point. So that's exciting. Grateful for, the thing that I am most grateful for right now is that my spouse's spinal surgery almost 2 months ago went really well. The recovery was phenomenal, and they were cleared to drive on Monday, which has been great because they really love to drive and really don't like to be dependent on other people, including me. So I'm grateful for that.
I did some celebrating with them the other day.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. No, and I mean, to the point where when we drove back from the doctor's appointment in Burlington, Margaret drove back and then told me that they were going to go to meeting at Turning Point and said, and I'm going to be really foolish. What do you mean? They said, I'm pulling your car into the garage and parking it, and I'm taking mine. You do that.
That's awesome. Hooray for healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jess Fike, Champlain Toxicology Lab. I'm pretty grateful for air conditioning.
Yes.
It's a popular one these days.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll go to Danielle.
Yeah. Hi guys, good morning. Danielle Roberts, Director of Community Relations here at NCSS, and I'm grateful for friends, family, and strangers who have been very kind to me recently.
Awesome. And my name is Melinda White, Recovery Coach Supervisor in the Emergency Department and Vermont Blueprint Mat Lead and Summit Co-Founder. And I am grateful that we are I feel like I'm starting to shake as I say that. We're less than a month away from the summit. But I'm grateful, I'm excited for it. I'm so grateful for our partners. We have, when I looked yesterday, I think there were 96 organizations that have registered. Granted, there was a few duplicates in there. I'll get rid of some of those. But just grateful for our partners, for the presenters that are going to be sharing. We have organizations from Montpelier, from New England. We're going to have really fun breakout rooms, people in recovery sharing their stories and some other fantastic stuff. So just really grateful for the summit and really the togetherness that it brings. And I just want to make sure, is there anybody else that we forgot? I don't think I see anybody new popped on Zoom. So our next item is in the meeting packet that I emailed out, we had our meeting minutes. So if there's anybody who would like to make a motion to approve them as written or mention any edits, if there were edits needed, I'll entertain that.
I'll move to approve.
Amy, awesome, thank you. Anybody want a second?
I'll second. Mary.
Thank you, Mary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the next thing that I had listed on our agenda, we had worked on trying to get somebody else on the executive lead team some months ago, and due to scheduling conflicts, it just hasn't worked out. So Jessica Frost and I chatted about it, and she has agreed and also been voted on the island by the team to become our newest partnership executive lead team member, so PELT member. So I just wanted to formally welcome her to the team. I know she's not here today, but she will be part of the partnership executive lead team sitting here at the front with the rest of us. Maybe she can reel us in sometimes when we need it to. But we're really grateful for her willingness to support us, because there's work that happens on the back end sometimes that, especially if people are out and whatnot, selfishly, I'm picturing an upcoming vacation, so I'll be out, and it'll just be nice to make sure that there's enough support within the team and that it doesn't fall on any one person. And we have the best team ever. I know I'm biased, but we have the best team. Not because of me, but everybody else on that team is the best. So welcome, Jess. Thank you, Jess, for jumping on the PELT team. And speaking of Jess, so our presenter today is Jessica Fike with Champlain Toxicology. Jess and I've known Jess for some years now, and just thought the world of her from the first time I met her, and I'm so grateful that our paths have continued to cross throughout the years. Champlain Toxicology has been a sponsor of the summit for each year. They have held booths at a number of different conferences. We see them at the Killington Conference, Recovery Partners. They were just at Howard Center. And Jess has just been the most amazing team player. She and her kids have helped us with summit setup the day before the summit. They're always there at the end, and I'm really grateful that Jess is one of our partners, and she's going to share about the services at Champlain Toxicology. So I think you should be set to do your share screen. Let me know if there's any issues. And once she has it shared, we'll just make sure that everybody there can see. I'm also going to hit record on time this time.
This meeting is being recorded.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Good?
Yeah?
Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us, Melinda. We're lucky enough to have the lab operations manager, Andrea Balek, here with us. She's going to be popping in a little bit later. She has some personal things going on. So if you have any questions to ask a toxicologist, please think of that. It's not very often, I feel like, that you get kind of a one-on-one on someone who knows everything about drug testing, detection, differences between dipsticks and real lab testing. And she's going to be talking about some of the emerging trends that we've been seeing in Vermont, which is really cool. Not cool, but exciting for lab geeks. Not that I'm really a lab geek, but she is, and her excitement and enthusiasm just rubs off on people. So we've actually detected a new drug in Vermont, and I think it's the first time that we've detected this drug. So we'll share a little bit more on that. So I'm going to buzz through some of our services. We are considered a community-focused toxicology lab, and it's not just testing that we do. We perform a lot of other services, and we really try to be community responsive. So who we are, we're a clinical reference laboratory, so we can test outside samples, not just our own, just like a physician's office lab or something like that within your own primary care office. We can accept samples from outside organizations. Our lab is located in Plattsburgh, and New York has some of the most rigorous standards for laboratories in the nation. So a lot of people don't actually put labs in New York. So, it's been very interesting. Our site survey for Medicare, the state one is actually more rigorous than the Medicare federal one. So we don't even have to have the Medicare site survey come in because the state one is so much more strict. Everybody who touches a sample has to be licensed by the state of New York. We're very stringent with our standards. We do screening and confirmation testing for urine, oral fluid, and umbilical cord testing, all in the same location. It's nice because there's less specimen handling and pouring off and sending off to different locations, so we're all under the same roof. We serve an array of programs. Substance use disorder, intensive, outpatient, primary care offices with embedded nurses, hospitals, high-risk women at OBGYN, remote substance use disorder treatment programs, on-site substance use disorder treatment programs, pain management programs, residential, recovery houses, DCF. We just so much of a gamut. And that's important to recognize because our services need to reflect all of the different treatment goals that these people have. So we really try hard to figure out how we can be helpful because these are very different programs. Testing. So we detect illicit and prescribed medications in urine, oral fluid, and umbilical cord tissue. Urine, obviously, it's a waste product. There's a lot of other stuff in urine, so there's a 2 to 3 day detection window for urine. Oral fluid is a little different. The snapshot in time is more recent. It's more similar to blood. So if there's any suspicion that an individual might be incapacitated at the time of collection, it's smart to do an oral fluid swab because then you can see if the individual is intoxicated at the moment. Umbilical cord tissue is exposure to any drug use in the last 20 weeks of pregnancy. And then just a brief overview of what the difference is between a screen and a confirmation. Like the point of care tests and the dipsticks that you might do that provide immediate results are considered a screen. We have kind of a higher level screen at our laboratory because it's instrument based, it has calibrations and controlled, and it's more rigorous with raw data. And it provides a positive or negative qualitative result versus confirmation breaks down drug fragments. You're able to detect the exact drugs. You're able to detect metabolites. It provides levels. There aren't false positives associated with confirmation, but confirmation takes more time and it's more expensive. So if you're looking for something quick that just detects drug classes, then a screen is sufficient. But a screen also can be misleading. If it's positive for opiates, what's included in opiates? Is tramadol an opiate? Is fentanyl included as an opiate? So it does sometimes need a little more hand-holding in terms of interpreting the results. So laboratory analysis with screening is a little bit better. We're always open for questions if you do point of care testing or dipstick or anything like that and you want to reach out to our lab. We're happy to answer any questions that has to do with toxicology, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Why drug testing matters? It's funny because I'm biased, of course. I'll just say my background as well. I'm in recovery myself. I worked as a clinician at the Act One Bridge detox program. Then I moved over to Burlington Labs. That did so much for our community. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I went to Champlain Toxicology Lab. So I'm very passionate about drug testing. And in our program, Act One Bridge, when we started doing drug testing, we were not educated. And we made some really important decisions based on screens that at the time led to discharge of patients. Which were wrong. It was just due to a lack of information. People who were discharging or detoxing from opiates at the time would take Ativan and or the Razapam, and that wasn't showing up on the drug tests. And so we thought people were like cheeking their drugs, their medications, and that wasn't the case. It was just that the screen wasn't sensitive to Razapam. Alternatively, we were in situations where we were, the decisions that we made were backed up by drug testing, and they were really hard decisions. And there's nothing more confident than knowing that you made a decision with science that has your back, right? So drug testing, to me, it's important. It's also required by state law if you're prescribing medications for opioid use disorder, ADHD, pain medications. It provides a complete assessment picture. Oftentimes people underreport, right? I just came in for cocaine use, but here I am positive for alcohol, THC, and all these other drugs. It can be a helpful tool to decide where the treatment should intervene. And my favorite is it does support clinician confidence, which is huge to me. I can't tell you how many times we get phone calls from counselors with the patient in the room, and Andrea has the opportunity to talk about the drug results in front of the person, and it just cuts out the BS, right? It's a tool to educate individuals with adulterants. They might be positive for fentanyl, but they don't realize that there's also xylazine in it or whatever else, or cocaine and there's fentanyl in it and xylazine. It provides accountability. When I was getting sober, I would use the excuse all the time, like, I can't drink, I have to go to a meeting. But, oftentimes people can say, I can't use, I have to do P tests or whatever. And it assists in patient engagement, and we're pretty proud of this. We offer a platform for texting, and we have a randomization tool that notifies individuals when they're due for a collection. And the longer that you are more stable in recovery, the less frequent you have to go. And so people that are on medication for opioid use disorder still have to provide these UAs, but they're stable, right? They have jobs, families, whatever. And so the time between tests are pretty long. And UAs are really a passive way to keep tabs on an individual when a mat nurse might be, might have however many patients in their caseload. So if an individual is called on a Monday and they come in on a Monday and the test results are consistent with what's expected, that's very different than when an individual is called on Monday, notified again on Tuesday, again on Wednesday, and then show up the week later and their sample is dilute, right? So that might lead to a little more intervention. But all of this is just a tool in the toolbox. It's certainly nothing, it should never be the final or the only indication that something is a flag. Some of our services that we provide, like I said, we customize our services to meet the needs of very different programs. And what I love to do is I like to go into a program and learn about their program and learn about why they're doing their drug testing and how we can support that and develop any services. If there's anything we can do out of the box, develop panels, develop, you know, how they receive results, who receives results, the reflexing, you know, we have some programs that are very low barrier and they just want any engagement possible. And then we have some who require abstinence, and we have everything in between. So we really design their services based on the program. We have telecollections, which I'll get into in a minute, the color cue randomization program that we talked about, the transparent text messaging platform. We put staff in facilities to do collections, as well as have a patient service center downtown. We have daily courier pickups throughout the Vermont. We use vital delivery services. We work with all the hospital networks, so we just have that constant flow of a courier. So one of the services that we provide that have been really popular is telecollections. And as I said, people who are a little more stable, you know, coming into a patient service center is a pain, or they live in rural places where there isn't a patient service center. And so we have these little telecollection kits. They're awesome. We pre-label everything with the patient information, de-identifying information, and then mail it to them. And when they're needed to do a UA through text, they give us a call and a video link, which is very easy to click. There's no app to download, so technology isn't a barrier. And we walk them through the process, and oftentimes, usually it's unobserved. So they just put the phone down when they provide the sample. And people love it. It takes less than 10 minutes. They bring them to work. We've had them do them outside of trucks on construction sites. I had one woman chatting with me in the halls of a school, and then like came through the bathroom. We start telecollection appointments at 7 a.m., which is great. We also do telecollections at the time that you need to go, which is unusual. We don't have to schedule them out. Oftentimes we can do them right at the moment. You can't really schedule when you have to pee. At least I can't. And they don't leak, surprisingly. We really thought that we'd have a lot of leaky ones, but we have a snap lid and we have a crush-proof box. And then we use USPS, we use regular mail, because people can't go to UPS. I have so many Amazon returns, I could never do that. So UPS and FedEx, so you just have to pop it in the mail. It's a great tool, and it's also a carrot, I think, for organizations and programs, you know, which is nice to have some type of carrot. And then some community-specific innovations that I'd love to chat about is just, we were one of the first labs in the Northeast to validate xylazine. We provided that service for free in our community over in New York at the time. We were approached by the UVM Health Network and NECLA, which is Northeastern Clinical Laboratory Alliance, several hospitals, to validate umbilical cord testing. Because when they were doing umbilical cord testing, they were shipping it across to California, and the results were taking so long that it was pointless. Also, an emergency room asked us to develop a child abuse panel, which had some specific drugs. Andrea hopefully will be on soon to talk more about the specifics if needed, but I know Benadryl was on there and some other drugs that were kind of specific in targeting.
Hey Jess, I'm here.
Oh good, hi. This is Andrea.
I'm Mary Babe.
This is Andrea Balek. She's our lab operations manager. She used to be a forensic toxicologist for New York State. What else is on that panel?
The abuse panel, it's got a lot of sort of the standard benzos and things like that. But the big thing that we threw in there was diphenhydramine, because that is very often used surreptitiously, not just with children, but also that's actually used a fair amount in drug facilitated sexual assault cases, because it's something that's very easy to get your hands on. And you can actually grind them up. It can be put into a beverage. And if people are not used to taking allergy meds, it can make them very, very sleepy. So that's one of the reasons that we have diphenhydramine in there.
What's
yeah.
Can you spell that?
Benadryl. How's that?
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
We also have extended hours at the patient service center on anticipated busy days. We open an hour earlier, we stay open an hour later. It just makes sense with people's work days, especially when we know people are going to be coming in. We collaborate, Andrea collaborates with industry leaders, I think on a monthly basis with, Andrea, do you want to talk about your meetings?
Oh, sure. I'm involved with a number of different professional associations having to do with toxicology in general. But what I've started doing in the past few months, which I'm finding really, really interesting, it's a collaboration started by a couple of ER doctors at the UVM hospitals network. And it's kind of, I think they call it like grand rounds for toxicology. And in that it's got me from Champlain Tox, it's got a bunch of people from UVM, it's got people from poison control centers across New England. So it's not just our immediate area, but also the rest of New England, hospitals over in New Hampshire and Maine as well. Just talking about interesting cases that we've seen recently and what's starting to pop up and what we're starting to see, and what some of the symptoms have been, how patients are presenting. And that's been very eye-opening for me because, I don't necessarily see what's happening in the ER. And for them to be able to describe some of the physiological symptoms that are happening, that's stuff that I can share with our clients, so their patients, they can be a little bit more in tune with what their patients might be experiencing if an overdose should occur. And one of the things that people are always, when you look at a drug, I'm sorry, I have all sorts of things going off here. Working from home, and I don't usually work from home, so all the devices have to be put to the side. But anyway, so much of what we're dealing with illicit drug use, whether it's illicit or therapeutic drugs being used illicitly, it's all in the dose. So like if somebody were going to take something as prescribed, it may not have that effect, but we really have to be careful and be aware that the doses that people are seeing are not kind of the normal dose. So that will potentiate any physiological effects.
We're integrated in this community, and we want to have an influence on how this community treats and substance use disorder. So we really try hard to just figure out what the trends are and to listen to patients and listen to programs to see what's needed and develop our programs and services around that. We offer same-day screening results and next-day confirmation testing, which is huge. Typically, it sometimes takes 5 or 7 days to get back a result. I don't think they would mind, but we started doing COTS, which is phenomenal because they needed it. Yeah. And they were able, this doesn't happen all the time, but they were able to send a patient to our patient service center in the morning. They were able to get results back in the afternoon, intervene and confront the person who was denying use. The patient or donor consented to treatment. They called Valley Vista. They got a bed and transportation the next day. And that's like that's what we want, right? Like it's the perfect scenario, but turnaround time is important, and just being there and having a presence. We do like to show up at all of the conferences and all of the events to hear what's going on. And with that, I will pass the baton to Andrea.
Okay, yeah, so let's just talk about some of the things that we're seeing, and some of it's pretty scary out there. So one thing that we have heard really across the board, and across the Northeast, is that stimulants are on the rise. Whether that is Adderall, methylphenidate, but I've got to tell you, the amount of cocaine that we are seeing right now, I haven't seen this much cocaine since I was with the New York State Police like 10 years ago. The amount of cocaine that's out there is really frightening. And Jess and I were just talking recently, like we always thought of cocaine as being really expensive, like is the price dropped or something like that? It is really scary because there isn't a great treatment for somebody taking stimulants to be able to kind of break away from that. We don't have a medication-assisted therapy for stimulants yet, although there is some talk about potentially some of the GLP-1, like your Wegovy's and your Ozempics, those types of drugs having a potential use for stimulant use disorder. But we are seeing, like I said, a frightening amount of cocaine out there. And I'll say a year ago, I would have said it's methamphetamine was going through the roof. That has really kind of dipped down a little bit. We still see it every day, but we're not seeing it dozens of times a day like we did last year. Heroin itself, hardly ever see. Once a week at most. I'd say it's probably more like once every 2 weeks, once a month. Fentanyl, that's still pretty routine, unfortunately, although I think there is a slight decline. And xylazine, we were probably seeing that a year and a half ago. We were probably seeing that in 30 to 50% of our fentanyl cases, and now maybe 10%. So it's really dropped down significantly. And part of me wants to say, oh, that's great, but unfortunately there's some stuff coming right on its heels that could be even more dangerous. Tianeptine, which is kind of called gas station heroin, you can find it in some of your more questionable gas stations, and mini marts. It's sold under the name, I think it's called Neptune's Fix or something like that, in little small bottles. We've heard about it for a while. We did validate a method for it, and I am running samples for it on a weekly basis. I have yet to see a positive. So I don't know if we're just not getting the right cross section of people that may be using it, or if it hasn't hit this area hard yet. But we are continuing to look for that. And the two other things, the medetomidine and bromazolam, these are the ones that when I say, xylazine's drifting off a little bit, that you want to think that's a good thing. But unfortunately, the two things on their heels are pretty scary. So this medetomidine is actually another veterinary sedative. It does have some human use to it, but it would be in a hospital setting. And it's called Dex because the particular isomer of it that's active, chemistry speak, geek speak, is Dex medetomidine. So its nickname is Dex. It is very, very potent. It is a serious sedative. I'm actually kind of surprised personally by the fact that it is so potent because it's used in smaller animals than xylazine is. Medetomidine is very commonly used on dogs and cats, where xylazine tended to be more of a large animal tranquilizer, where this is used for smaller animals. And here we go, estimated 100 to 200 times more potent than xylazine. And what I was saying before, it's all in the dose. So it really depends on how much the drug dealer or the person preparing the drugs for the drug dealer, the mixer, is cutting the fentanyl with medetomidine. So this has really hit Philadelphia very, very hard. Philadelphia does appear to be kind of ground zero for the East Coast, with new and different drugs coming out. I do not know why Philly seems to be the place this stuff happens, but it definitely has been seen there pretty regularly. Like I think it was 72 at the end of 2024 and an estimated like 92% in February. So it's going up quickly. And Massachusetts has seen it as well. So once Mass sees it, we usually see it coming up into Vermont. So this is something, it is not validated in our lab yet. I'm on vacation this week and part of next, but we are going to be getting on. I already ordered the drugs. We are going to be validating this, so we'll be able to see it in samples. And so when it gets to Vermont, we can be right on top of it. So at least you folks know what you're dealing with. Bromazolam. So this is a benzodiazepine very, very similar to alprazolam. Alprazolam you might know as Xanax. And Xanax is, when you think about the other anti-anxiety meds out there, I think about Xanax as something people use situationally. Other benzos, you've got people on sort of like long-term, where Xanax tends to be one of those that it's short acting, but it's something that you would take when you know you've got an event coming up, or, could be something. I know a lot of doctors will give it to somebody if they're dealing with a loss of a loved one or something like that. So it's kind of like short-term use. So it takes effect very, very quickly and has a shorter duration. So if you look at these, the only little difference is sort of center left. You see a Cl chlorine on Xanax, on alprazolam. We replace it with a bromine on bromazolam, and that makes things a lot more intense. So it has much, much stronger sedative effect than Xanax actually does. So they have seen deaths from this. It is a very high risk of overdose because these are not being mixed by professional people. They're being mixed by some kind of scary synthetic chemists, but they are not being dosed out by professionals. So we're seeing this in counterfeit Xanax tablets that actually say Xanax on them, and then other tablets as well that might be being sold off as something else. And then where we actually saw it in Vermont ourselves was with a case recently. The gentleman was on fentanyl, and his clinician called me. Because bromazolam is so new to Vermont, we don't have it validated yet. It will be in the same validation as the medetomidine. But a clinician called me and said, I've seen my client high before, but this was different. It's just like he couldn't speak. He had motor abilities were definitely impaired. And I had noticed that it had screened positive for benzodiazepines, but we didn't confirm them, which is pretty uncommon for us to not be able to confirm a benzo. So I did a little bit of chemistry magic, and I figured out what it would look like on our instrument, and I injected the sample, and I saw what I thought was bromazolam. And then the same day, we also ordered it, got it in 2 days later, injected it, and it turned out that is indeed the same drug that we saw in this one patient sample. So it is in Vermont. I've also spoken with some folks at the Vermont Public Safety Lab, and while they have not been able to confirm it, they themselves, they do know that there have been some drug seizures with bromazolam in them. So like I said, this is one of those things coming down the pike that's pretty scary. And we're going to get it validated. I hope by the beginning of August, we'll be able to report it out and let everybody know what we're dealing with, how common it is. And the more data we get, the more we can share with you folks.
Can I ask you a question, Andy?
Sure.
So I know, like with xylazine, there's a reversal called zolidine, but that's again just for animals because it's not meant for human consumption. Do you know if there's any reversal known for these other? I can't remember. I can't pull that slide. There it is. Yes. Okay. I was like, I'm gonna butcher this. Okay. No. Yeah. Back to the one before that.
Yeah,
So the
that's
one
okay.
that is not as strong, like that they use in the smaller end. Yeah. There it is. The mid.
Yeah, there is a reversal for this. There is a reversal agent for this, but because it's not used a lot with humans, I don't believe the reversal agent is approved for human use. And I will double check that. That's what I had read, but it was on an article that wasn't peer reviewed, so I do need to look into that a little bit more. But it's also a reversal agent since it's more used for veterinary use. That reversal agent isn't in hospitals yet. So even if it is approved for human use, it's not frequently used. So it is not in ERs at this point.
Okay.
As far as the bromazolam, I don't believe there's any kind of reversal for benzos other than supportive care, oxygen, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions that you guys would like? Andrea is a wealth of information.
Yeah.
She's awesome. So anything specific to drugs, drug detection, types of testing, any case reports?
And Jess, if you want to just make sure everybody there has my email address,
Yeah.
I'm happy, or at our phone number, I am happy to answer questions once, if somebody hears about something and just wants to know a little bit more, shoot me an email or give me a call.
I have a quick question. I was at a community partner meeting, actually, giving a presentation, and someone mentioned that wasp spray was being used quite a bit by individuals in a UVM emergency department, that they had a lot of people presenting with that. Is there any way to test for things like that?
That's not something I've heard, but I can talk about it and ask the folks at our next grand rounds, which the next one I'll be at will be just under 2 weeks probably. But yeah, no, that's not something we could, because that's probably more like a pesticide type of thing, so that's not something that we'd be able to easily test for.
I also had a quick question. We have been hearing as we've been going around to community partners that there is a swath, unfortunately, right now of overdoses in Barrie. About a month ago, it was in Bennington. Do we know what class type, what drug is causing all of these overdoses? Is it something cut in the cocaine? Is it fentanyl? Do we know at this point? I've not heard that from anyone, just that there are a lot of them, and I want to give as detailed of a warning as I can to our members. We've already warned them that there's a bad batch of drugs going around, but it might be helpful.
Well, I've actually heard of a couple different things, and unfortunately, we won't have results on some of them for a while because the medical examiner toxicology for the fatalities, that actually goes out of state and usually takes a couple of months to get back. So whether it's all of a sudden bromazolam is here and we're seeing, or medetomidine, and we're seeing overdoses from it or fatalities from it, that will show up in medical examiner toxicology. I can certainly ask my sources if to let me know when they get that back. We have also, it happened to be, I believe, in the Barrie area, there was a bupropion, which is Wellbutrin. I know there was an overdose from that I don't believe was fatal, but it got a little too close for comfort. She was in very, very serious condition for a while. And I do believe there was also a diphenhydramine or a Benadryl overdose. So people are using what I'll say sort of like your household drugs, your over-the-counter drugs, in more creative ways than we'd like them to. not that Wellbutrin is prescribed, but it's all in the dose, and you know, the most a drug that isn't normally harmful when taken as directed. If you take a bottle of them, it can certainly hurt.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Yes. Does the toxicology lab put together any kind of like quarterly or annual reports about what they're seeing in each state or anything like that?
What we've done in the past, what I've done in the past, and I know I do have a report of this, I can certainly forward is what we've been seeing. I think I've got that for 2023. I'm working on it for 2024. But for 2023, what I will say a little bit of the problem is that we see more drugs that are actually requested. So if somebody asks for an oxycodone confirmation, we see that, but we may also see methamphetamine, or we might see fentanyl. But with the hospitals, if they're only requesting certain drugs, those are the only drugs that get reported. But I have determined a way that we can, and so what happens is when we transfer that data into our data system, the drugs that were not requested for kind of get lost. They basically get deleted because they're not being requested, and there has to be basically a confidentiality that we're not supposed to be talking about drugs that weren't requested by the providers. But what I've been able to do is determine a way that we can take that data, de-identify it, and then gather it all together. So we'll be able to tell you of this many samples, you know, this percentage was positive for oxycodone, this percentage was positive for fentanyl. And that's actually something I've got an intern scrubbing the data right now and de-identifying everything. So I'm hoping that by probably the middle of August, we can have some good reports out that tell you exactly what we're seeing and where we're seeing it.
We're in a place now too that we want to like broadcast our findings more with like regular newsletters or what have you to spread the information in different media senses. Is it the Vermont Department of Health that came up to us at the last conference and asked us to share data with them?
I don't believe it was VDH. I think it was that, was it HRCS down in sort of the southern part of the state?
I thought there was a state agency. Yeah.
Yeah, but VDH does have some good data on their website as well. But they're not doing, they're basically getting data from the hospitals and from us and things like that. They're not doing testing anymore for this kind of work. So they're not necessarily seeing what's on the street. One of the projects they're working on right now is strictly overdoses.
It would be really cool to collaborate.
It's called OD2A, called Overdose to Action. And it's a great program that's nationwide that they're working on for the CDC. And I'd say in the next year, we're going to be seeing some real good data from that.
And there are a few things in the chat. Erin put a link in the chat to the Vermont Substance Use Dashboard, which has links to the Vermont Opioid Overdose Dashboard. And then it looks like Tracy had commented earlier, acknowledging and agreeing with the information talked about in the Barrie area, and that it sounds like there have been different substances identified, and so a mix of substances with people who are overdosing recently. Does anybody else who's been putting in the chat, does anybody have questions or anything you wanted to talk through with Andy or with Jess?
I'm just curious how we would join the listserv to see some of those reports when they're ready. They sound really exciting.
I definitely have, we do your drug testing. So I have the operations at V4, so I would make sure that those guys would be included, but I can email you directly. And actually, if it's okay, I can email this list when we start doing it, the distribution list for this org.
Thinking of it from like a stigma standpoint, like I feel like parents or people who are going through this might not go to a website like that because then it's on their search history, or you know what I mean. So I think finding like creative ways where it's almost just like presented to them versus them having to go and find it would be super important, because it's like one of those things, well, if I don't find out what's playing at the movie theater like right now, I don't know what's playing, you know. I don't care about what played a couple months ago. But definitely I would say, just from knowing friends and their families who had dealt with it, like they're not looking up this stuff. It's like hide it. So especially with over-the-counter type things like Benadryl or something, it's almost like, you know, I can hide what I'm doing because I'm doing Benadryl, no one's going to think anything, but if people don't know that that's what's going on.
Right. We also, it was interesting that we were presented or approached quite frequently by student assistant programs, SAPs, and it's interesting just to see what resources are needed for different like organizations, just to have like a consult available for parents. If you can think of anything that we can do to support and use our resources in whatever manner that we can, let us know, because I'm trying to brainstorm like how we can be present if needed, right? And available if needed.
So to pick up on that, so if an SAP reaches out to you, what are you able to provide them?
It's more, so far, it's been the SAP is wanting to provide information to parents if they come to them, right? To have that resource available. So I don't know if that's simply distributing Champlain toxicology cards, or maybe even having like a form that's anonymous, you know what I mean, or something, or like an anonymous question if anonymity is important to the parents, like.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You know, thinking of like easy ways, and something that we're marketing a lot here is like 988, like making sure that people who are on those response calls like have that info too. So, you know, it's like any type of crisis. It doesn't just have to be, you know, suicide. And I would say parents or people in those situations could be experiencing a crisis to that. So making sure crisis info or groups definitely have that info. That might be something good.
That's a great idea. I mean, we also have a patient service center where people can take their children, and apparently that's not kind of well known either. And I'm fairly certain that there's other Dominion, I believe you can do walk-ins as well, and Aber Health in St. Albans, but I don't know if that's well known in the parent. Again, like whether or not that'd be embarrassing to bring your child to something, or
it's
even
just
just
like overload too of so many things. You know what I mean?
And it's expensive, right? Like it wouldn't be covered by insurance. But even telling them, hey, if you go to your primary care doctor, they can provide a drug test, and that will be covered under insurance if you do it through the medical avenue. Or even giving a link to like, this is a point of care test that you can buy online. If you need any help interpreting those results, give us a call, right? Like,
I think too, like we're working on rebuilding our website at NCSS, and you know, I don't just want like the resources that we have. You know, like I think the purpose of this group is like to know the resources that are out there for the community. So, you know, maybe it's like, hey, like we're all gonna have a page on our websites. You know, we're serving the same populations that has all of these links, resources, places to go. That way it's like, regardless of where they're at, whether, you know, they're on the church website or in the bulletin, or they're on our website, or they're at Turning Point, like it's always, you know, it's just always around. That may be, I'm trying to do that with our website as we get moving on it. Just
we need to increase our increase our website, and that would be smart too, to have like a link for resource page, or maybe a community resource page that you can just link to the resource page.
Right.
And when we're talking about parents with children too, I mean, and Jess and I have talked about this, and we're beefing up our oral fluid panel a little bit. I mean, right now it looks for, I think, 22 different drugs. It doesn't have methylphenidate on it yet, but that is coming. There are a couple other things we're going to add into it. But if the idea of a minor giving a urine sample feels a little too punitive, or a little too invasive, an oral fluid sample is very, very easy. don't have to worry about it being tampered with or anything like that, and we can give parents a heads up that way as well.
Can I ask one more question? You didn't talk at all about THC, but I'm assuming that's something that is tested and seen a lot of.
Yeah, again, it's whether or not programs care or not, honestly. You know, some people, you know, it's not a big deal. Other people, it is a big deal, but we absolutely see it. Yeah. Andrew, can
I'm one of those people, I'm probably in the minority as a Vermont resident, but I do feel it's a big deal, especially in younger people, because it really impacts brain development, and your brains are not fully developed until you're at least 25. You know, physically developed. But the difference in, like, this is not our parents' pot anymore. You know, just like 20 years ago, you were looking at, you know, 1.5% THC, and now the norm is like 17 to 22% THC. So it's a lot stronger, and it's, you know, it's as bad for you to smoke as cigarettes, as you know, lighting up a Camel or a Marlboro. So yeah, we do see quite a bit of it.
I
And it's
appreciate
just
that.
Some programs don't mind it. They feel if that's the worst they're doing. And I understand that no, you're not gonna overdose on it the way you might fentanyl, but there could be some longer term issues, health issues.
The reason I ask is, so working in substance prevention, right, substance misuse prevention, typically I stay in my lane with tobacco, but THC really kind of draws me beyond that boundary. But it, you know, as I continue to hear the nonchalance with THC and the industry marketing of it, having a toxicology lab to talk about it in a different way adds a little bit something new to the conversation. So if you were to ever say, we are detecting it in this percentage of blah, 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 and it's at this level, which is different from this, like, if you share that information, it adds a little bit more to the woman at the hospital who's going wah, 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 wah all the time.
Yeah, you're right. We can work on that.
Okay.
I was actually also wondering, I used to work with clients who took a lot of your analysis, and I'm just wondering if there's, that was a while ago, I'm wondering if like there's been developments. Can you tell now with THC like the potency of what someone took, or like what can you tell about the THC? Is it just that they have it in their system, or is there more that you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't really tell the potency of what they consumed. So like if I see a really high THC sample, I can't tell, did they just have something really potent a half hour ago, or have they been, you know, smoking or vaping like crazy for the past 3 days or a week. Yeah, unfortunately with urine, we really don't have the ability to do that.
Andrew, do you want to do, if we have time, a quick talk about the gummies and your, the, what am I trying to say? CBD edibles.
Oh.
You just say it.
Yeah, you're asking me, I'm sorry.
The case report where the edibles and the person was denied.
Oh my goodness, sure. Okay, CBD. We all know that it has some great therapeutic components to it, and it's been used for years, sourced from a farm in Colorado, and just with the CBD itself just being extracted for seizure disorders. It's been remarkable for that. But since it's been mass produced, it is not controlled. It's considered sort of like a nutritional substance. So it doesn't fall under FDA guidelines and regulation as far as the quality control. And it is allowed to have up to 0.3% THC in it, which doesn't sound like that much, but depending on how much, once again, it's in the dose. But because it's not regulated, and I'm gonna really geek out, and I'm sorry, it's just part of me. Significant figures, those of you who liked math as children, so the 0.3%, that could be 0.35% or 0.3499%, because it's only going up to that 0.3. And then if they wanted to be really sneaky, it could be 0.399%, and they say they truncated instead of rounding. And there can be differences between different batches. So there are probably sometimes the batches that go out that have 0.2%, and there are probably batches that go out that have 0.4%. So, and I will get to a case study, but when I hear about parents giving their children CBD to calm them down, they'd rather that than put them on Ritalin or Adderall. They're saying, oh, my child's so much easier, my 6-year-old's so much easier to handle now. Well, yeah, because they're impaired, because that little bit of THC on that little body is going to affect them and is going to be impaired. So yeah, your kid's a little bit high. But what we had in the pain management clinic that our lab director also owns, and our owner also owns, is, and he seems to be okay with THC because he doesn't pass judgment on people, but he was reviewing the toxicology results for one of his patients that has been having severe back pain. And he's looking at, okay, you got a little bit of THC in there. I guess you're taking that to help with your back or so it doesn't bother you so much. And the gentleman was like, I don't do weed. I don't do that. And Dr. B was like, well, it's in your report. We could run the sample again, which we did, and it still was positive. So he asked me to speak with the patient. So the patient called me and we were chit-chatting. And I was like, okay, what else are you doing? And what else are you taking? Tell me everything that you're taking. And he did say to me that he does take CBD because it's supposed to be easier on his joints. And then I just said to him, okay, how many are you taking? What's considered the proper dose? And how many are you actually taking? And he kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit. And, well, I'm a big guy, so I usually, you're supposed to take 1 to 2, so I usually take 4. And I said, how often do you do this? Oh, 2-3 times a day. So he's taking a lot more than a dose, and that THC is cumulative. THC stays in your body for a long time, and it will accumulate like that. So, and it was a very low positive, I will say that, but it still accumulated enough to be positive. And what he was so freaked out about was he's Border Patrol agent, so he's a federal employee, and for federal employees, there's no THC use. So he felt that he was potentially risking his employment and his pension. So we got him on some pain relievers that didn't have THC in it. And from what I've seen, his samples have been pretty clean since. But that's where you could be taking something that you don't even realize you're taking.
Can
you imagine?
This is super helpful to hear from you and your experience and expertise. And I do hope that maybe we can find ways to kind of share this, not that person's story, but that knowledge, because I think it adds to people's misinformation about CBD and THC. It doesn't add to their myths, it helps debunk their myths. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Jess and I'll talk, and we can maybe through another meeting just put together some little, case studies, whether I present them or not, or just as handouts, just so, I think sometimes when it's in a case study format, it's a little easier to read and a little more relatable.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And yes, please.
Can I just confirm to your email address? Is it Andy@ChamplainToxicologylab.com?
It's actually Andrea.
Okay.
ANDREA @ChamplainToxicologylab.com. And I'm on vacation this week, but I'm jumping in on this meeting. And so I'm calling in from my personal computer, and in my personal life, I'm Andy, and LaJoy is my married name, but most of anything you'll see from me from Champlain Talks will have the last name Belec. B-E-L-E-C.
Okay, is that what you want me to put in the listserv?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me just go back and update that. Okay, and it's okay, so let me change. So, Andrea, can you spell your last name again?
Sure. B as in boy, E-L-E-C.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, any other questions or conversation?
I just want to add, when my kids were in kindergarten, whenever there was a presentation, and my husband is a chemist, by the way, and he used to go into the, so I've been texting him pictures of, I was like, look, chemistry in my meetings too. But they always follow the presentation with, anybody have any questions or compliments? And it just always brought joy, and I just am so.
I like that.
Yes, it was really, I didn't know what to expect from today, and this is super helpful to the work that I do and to the work that happens in our community. So that's my compliment. Thank you. Really added a lot for me today.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jess and Andrea. Sorry.
Either one's fine. Either one's fine.
Thank you both for presenting. I will include the PowerPoint in the weekly updates. I actually started getting those drafted right now so I could attach it and make sure I don't forget it. So the updates will go out tomorrow instead of Friday because of the holidays. So anybody who either watches this after the fact through Northwest Access, I also want to say thank you, Hunter, for being here. I usually pause to say thank you to Northwest Access for being here and recording. So anybody interested in that PowerPoint will have it in your inbox in about 24 hours, within the next 24 hours. So if there are no further questions for our presenters, we have a little bit of time for some updates, announcements, upcoming initiatives, trainings, anything that our partners would like to share. So if you're on Zoom and you want to share something, feel free to unmute. And if you're in the room, feel free to shout out. It's a small group, so I won't say hands.
Hey everybody, I'm gonna take off. I'm sorry, I'm getting ready for a long trip, but it was nice kind of meeting everybody. Please feel free to reach out. I'm here to help, and I hope to meet you guys in person sometime real soon.
So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a wonderful long weekend, everybody.
You too. All right. Amy.
I'm super excited. It's that time of year. It's butt litter cleanup. We've had 3. We've got 5 more going on. Our next ones are July 8th in Richford first, and then Enosburg on the same day. And then 3 here in the St. Albans area. And if anybody would like, the posters will, the flyer will be in the updates. But if anybody would like hand posters to put up around or whatever, please share online or whatever, and grab some people and come out. They are oddly fun, and I encourage people to join in.
Thank you for your enthusiasm on that too. I love the Facebook posts. It makes it fun and competitive.
It is fun, and some people are very competitive, very, very competitive about how many. We do count them, so they are very competitive about how many they pick up. I am not that way, but
I'm assuming if someone joins, you guys have the gloves or things, so they don't have to bring any of that.
Correct. In fact, I think it says right in the little yellow box, we bring the
there you go.
The gloves and the bags.
Perfect.
All people need to do is show up. I even have sunscreen that people can use.
Awesome.
So, and hand sanitizer. Not a shower. But people choose. It is a gross feeling at the end of the day.
Awesome. Any other updates?
Just I guess some shout outs to some of the things that have been happening with us. We had a team leader and program manager and director meeting yesterday, and last week we had our Kids Camp Rainbow, which is a camp for children with autism or other intellectual and developmental delays, and it was just a really, really great week. we had one of our largest groups of volunteers. We had 73 volunteers, and there was a story of one of the volunteers who rode her bike from Enosburg to camp every day last week in the heat.
Wow.
And it was just like amazing. Like, this is like a kid, you know, in the community who's doing something like that grand, and then come to find out they also have like they work with an SLP, so it was just really nice. I know Mary brought up, like, you know, it's nice to give back when people have given back to her, so I thought, like, immediately I thought of that. Another thing that we received some good praise for was our Parent-Child Center. So there's a lot of different groups and events that are happening within the Parent-Child Center. Some of the feedback from families, moms, dads, older siblings, seeing their, you know, their younger siblings, is just like the amount of support that they felt. So, you know, it might seem silly, like going to a stroller group or, you know, some sort of play group, but there's a lot of, I think, community in that. So definitely, you know, it's one of my favorite programs because it's all about, you know, prevention, right? It's, you know, getting to families first, and we can serve everyone. You know, it's not one of those ones where it's like you have to qualify for this. You just have to be a family. And then the last thing is that through the Parent-Child Center as well, there's a lot of car seat safety assist trainings that are coming up. So I'm going to be getting some posts together for that. Michelle Treya, who's usually in here, would probably be mentioning that. So I didn't want to like forget that for her. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me or Michelle, or take a look on our website. But it's called assist training now, not like car seat installation stuff. But that's going to be happening like all over Franklin and Grand Isle County. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. Like, I mean, I have to share about the summit. There's some silence, so I'm going to pull up. We just released yesterday the agenda. So this is kind of the scheduled agenda for the summit presentation. So the summit, as many people know by now, with my ongoing shameless plugs at every place I attend, is Friday, August 1st at the Champlain Valley Expo. So organizations that are hosting booths, and it's no charge for booths, free registration, no registration required for attendance. That's from public partners, no registration. The only thing we need a registration for are organizations that want a booth space, so we can make sure that we reserve that for you. And booth setup is that morning from 8 to 9:30. I didn't put it on this flyer, but I did put it in an email to booth holders, and I'll be doing more updated. The day before, we often get a little chunk of time if people want to come ahead of time to set up the day before. Not a lot of organizations have taken advantage of that, and that's fine. I get it too. So really, it's that morning that we see the push for people setting up their booth space. So from 8 a.m., the doors are open at the Champlain Valley Expo to set up your booths until 9:30. And then from 9:30 to 10, we have people transitioning into the presentation room where we have our summit presentation. And we are, like, this is my biggest goal for this year, is for that presentation to start on time and not run a single minute over, because it's just so much action-packed fun that we usually run over, and we want to stick to the agenda so people have time to transition back in the booth room. So the presentation itself, I've listed the various organizations and people that are going to be presenting. We've got a focus this year, a little bit more focus this year than previous years, on both residential treatment facilities and on the sequential intercept model implementation, which has been driven by the Vermont courts over this past year. So, and then we're also going to be highlighting, you know, just again, some of the residential treatment programs, and then also certified recovery residences. There's a new one that just opened, similar to Jenna's Promise, called Ben's House. So we're going to have some great, and we've also been fortunate to have Monica Hutt is going to join us again, and I know she doesn't love to speak, but she's just such a great speaker. We're going to have the health department share some data and stats of the, you know, the quote unquote, why are we here to begin with type thing, so we can look at some of the data. Our platinum sponsor is, once again, for the second year in a row, Savita Health, and we're so grateful for that. Tracy is going to be sharing about Savita's services. And then, multiple duties. And then we are going to have Secretary Jenny Samuelson and DOC Commissioner Nicholas Demmel share with us about some of the stuff that's happened, especially over this past year, some good movement towards basically responses towards the summit goals, which is exciting. Partnerships that are happening, prioritization of partners between the judicial system and substance use mental health providers, and then Commissioner Jen Morrison is going to share from Vermont Department of Public Safety. So we're just really excited for the presentation itself, and of course there's a little surprise built in there. Anybody who hasn't attended in the past, I'm not going to say what it is. Anybody who is probably has an idea, although we might shake it up. I was talking to Jess about that earlier. So after the presentation, then people transition back over to the booth room, and then we also have breakout rooms. And we did highlight that even though it shows like lunch is only 15 minutes, food sales happen throughout the entire day. And if people are hosting booths, they're welcome to eat there. This is not an organizationally led event. This is a grassroots, like Brad Ferlin and Melinda White event. So there's no legalism or rules about you can't leave your booth space. And like, we are not that type of gig. So if people, we would love for people to stay for the duration of the day so they can interact, especially with members of the public that usually don't come to the beginning, but they'll come at the afternoons to connect to resources. But if somebody has to tear down a little bit early for travel and all that, like just do what you got to do to care for yourself. If you need lunch breaks at odd time, just do what you got to do to care for yourself. So the breakout room schedule, we did add a little bit more this year. As much as we didn't want to overlap like we did the first year, we also didn't want to omit some of the offerings that people wanted to do for the breakout room. So we're going to have Dr. Suzanne White again. She has been at every single summit of ours and does just a fantastic, charismatic way of sharing information about substance use in the brain. So this year she's doing brains versus drugs, how to protect developing brains. And then we have the recovery room, breakout room, and that's a panel of people in recovery with lived experience sharing openly. I heard there was a lot of tears in last year's and also a lot of celebration. So that's a very emotional and powerful room. Breakout room 3, so my brother-in-law, he was known in Vermont as Trooper Rodriguez. He was on the drug task force, retired with Vermont State Police, was with SAPD for a short time, and then moved to Florida. But he's going to be here in Vermont during that time. So we're going to have a breakout room that he's doing for family safety. So it'll be comprehensive safety class that focuses on essential skills for situational awareness and personal defense. And then we're going to have breakout room 4 is going to be lunch. So they have, this is going to be really cool. So the moms in recovery have done something called trauma-informed storytelling, and they're going to be sharing that. There's going to be a video and discussion, so that should be a very powerful room. And then, of course, our very own Jackie Kelly, who I'm a huge fan of, is going to be doing a Stop the Bleed course in one of the other breakout rooms. So Jackie is with the Northwest Vermont Medical Reserve Corps. So that's what it'll look like for the day. And again, no registration required for anybody to attend. If you have partners that want to attend, last year I was heartbroken because I heard after the fact that some people said their coworkers wanted to come, but they didn't register in time. There's no registration required. The only thing I need registration for is your organization. And even if you don't know the name of the booth attendants, that's not a big yank. It's just so we can reserve that space. Otherwise, this is open to the public to come and go as they please throughout the day. And I see Lex, your hand is up.
Hello, yes. I just wanted to make sure that you had heard from Harley for that recovery panel, if you still wanted to hear from him.
I have not, and I would love to hear from him.
Perfect. He did say, I had asked him about it when we spoke so many ages ago about it, and he did say he's totally down to be involved, so I will shoot him an email.
Oh, yeah.
And CC you on it. We'll get that going.
I love that. Have him bring a picture of Piper so he can share one of his many gifts of recovery. Piper's his cat. Like super cool cat.
Oh, so precious.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, and I see one more thing in the chat. Buzz was for the amazing list of speakers. Oh yeah, thank you, Erin. We're very blessed. We've got some heavy hitters, some awesome rock stars this year. Any other updates?
Can I share one thing? So as part of our project, we are doing some community assessment, trying to get feedback from the community as well as the partners at this table and other tables. So we've got a survey that we're trying to get out into the community to answer some of the similar questions to what we're kind of asking a lot of folks that work in the field to share. So if it's possible, if I could send you a link to the survey for you to send out, and if folks have folks you're working with or connected with who live in Franklin and Grand Isle counties, and you can encourage them to take it, that would be great.
Definitely.
Is there an end date on it?
Yes, there will be. I believe it will, I'll say it in the description I send out, but I think it'll be the end of this month.
Okay.
So until the end of July.
So I'm going to email you right now. Feel free to email the survey to me and or FGIC partnership. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other announcements, updates?
I do have some flyers. I'm part of the Firearms Technical Assistance Project. So we have the brochures now, and so women, when they're going to get RFAs, they're able to let the judge and them know that their spouse or independent partner has weapons, so they can be taken.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. If you want to pass those around, and if it's something you want me to send electronically too,
Yeah,
I'd be
I was
happy
gonna
to.
see if you'd be able to do
Absolutely. Yep. If you want to email that to me, I'm going to email you right now just to say here. And are you still at michelle.fcccp at
No, I mean, I keep that email because
Because I
enjoy
email
it.
you?
Yeah.
I could change it, Michelle.
What's your best email?
Michelle with one L.
Yeah.
Dot Bassett
Yeah.
at AbenakiNation.com.
Oh, there you are. Okay, perfect. So I'll just put flyer. Hello, Michelle.
And I will be posting all over. I'm dropping some off at the courts and everywhere I can.
Perfect. I just emailed you. Okay. Any other announcements, updates?
Wondering, Mariah, with the summit being August 1st, and I know you said the end of the month, can you guys put it out a couple of days and maybe we'll get more feedback or survey or?
Put it out at the summit, you mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that's August 1st, but.
Certainly, if you think there'll be community members that'll go to, do you think that'll, yeah,
I would,
sure.
Yeah, if you want to host a booth there, let me also forward you the link.
It's all about substance, like I'm assuming, well, you mentioned
It's
that what you're doing is like how.
Yeah, well, it's prevention, so it will be just like questions about what are you seeing in Franklin Grand Isle, the counties. But yeah, we can certainly.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good place to put it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to go to community events here in these counties too. We'll be at the farmers market in the islands today.
Nice.
Yeah, I almost wonder, I can look after too, but I almost feel like maybe you all did register a booth, but if you haven't.
We haven't. We were gonna. Our staff are going, but we're not.
Okay.
We don't have a booth.
So I'll send you a link in an email right now too. Beautiful. And that's the thing with the booths is it doesn't have to, I mean, we have some that really decorate it and have banners and toys and all this fun stuff. And then sometimes people might just have some flyers and that's fine too. It's whatever works for you and your organization. So I'm going to send you that link by email right now.
Thank you.
All right. Any other announcements, updates? And if not, so our next meeting is on Wednesday, August 6th. I won't be in the state, but it'll still be running smoothly and beautifully. I am hopping on a plane the day after the summit. But we will see you all next month. And again, if anybody else has items that you would like to have included in the weekly updates, feel free to email them to the FGIC partnership email address on the different communication we send out. And if for some reason you can't find it, you can email me directly. And I just saw Erin, your hand's up.
Yes, sorry, I'm like, oh no, I just remembered I have to think. I wanted to share with folks that after Karen Grant took her new role with Dale, we weren't able to rehire that position because of funding stuff. But Jody Delorier, who's another public health nurse in our office, as of yesterday is our chronic disease designee for our region. So I will be inviting her to attend this meeting, and if there's meetings around prevention that you'd like her to join, please think of including her. She's excited for the role, but there's still a lot of learning to do. So including her would be great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. right. Well, if there's nothing else, we are 10:29. How exciting. Somebody let Joe know we have it on time. So I will call the meeting to close and we'll see you all next month. Have a great day.
Thanks, Melinda.
Thank you. Have a good day. Recording stopped.